Welcome to Last Call. I am Dean. This is that's Mike. But Mike, where were you during the game Thursday night? That might be my favorite Twitter exchange. Were you out cold? Were you flipping between Dateline and the game? Were you out getting a drink? What happened, Mike, on Thursday?
Dean, you got to realize you're a young guy, right? Come on now. I've turned 70, so sometimes your needs to do things are a little bit, happen more often. So I tried to get back quick, but it just didn't work out that way. In truth, Dean, I have this setup that I can talk directly to Joe and Troy during the game, but my audio went out. So the audio went out, and I knew that Joe was coming to me, but then it went out, and so I kind of sat there, and Travis Hansen, who might be the best producer we've ever had at Fox Sports, he actually was signaling to me, giving me this, saying, talk, 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 talk. They're waiting for you to talk. And so I just started blurting out, but yeah, it was my audio.
Blame it on technical difficulties.
I wasn't out. I saved my Tito's for later. Well, what are we going to talk about today? A lot of things. How about the Houston overturn, huh? The Houston overturn. Sometimes it boils down to the end of the game and a big call. John Brown, was it a touchdown? Was it not a touchdown? Harrison Smith, he got disqualified. A lot of people didn't agree with it, especially Mike Zimmer. Joe Thomas, his UNR. And then, of course, who would ever want to fight Aaron Donald? But let's start with the Will Fuller catch at the end of the game. Obviously, Minnesota, this is a huge game, 50-50 call. He appeared to have it. Did the ball move? Did it come loose? Hard to dispute. One of those that a lot of people thought maybe it would stand. But Dean, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is one of those plays where it gets into that, right? We used to say indisputable, and very few things in life are indisputable. And then we said clear and obvious. Look, to me, this is an incomplete pass. Fuller's going to the ground. He has to maintain control. His right hand comes off the football, and it looks like to me that he uses the ground to make the catch, and it is incomplete. But then we get into replay, right? And it's not just what one person thinks. You have to convince everybody that's watching that game and watching that play that is an obvious mistake. And I think that's where, I think it's a great tweet where you talk about, is this a 50-50 call? Because we always teach replay officials that you have to get to 100 to overturn it. And even if you get to maybe 97 or 98, that's not enough evidence to overturn. These are judgment calls. In my judgment, I thought it was incomplete. You may feel differently. Someone else may look at it differently. And again, it comes down to the philosophy in replay. If it's not obvious, you don't overturn it. And I think that's what had people up in arms about this play.
It would be interesting if people ever had a camera inside of our set there at Fox to see how we are. We're together, and when that play happens, and they're going to come to us, right? Because it's the end of the game, and it's basically a do or die decision. The feeling out of like you and others, and even me, was, ooh, I think it's incomplete, but I'm just not sure that there's enough there to overturn it. And when I went on air, I kind of said the same thing, even though I think it's incomplete. You talk to the league, they said that on the way down, you could see the laces turning a bit, which I certainly didn't see anything like that. But on the one shot, when it hits the ground, to me, the ball pops. And to me, that made it incomplete, which is why I said I think it should be incomplete. The thing is, we talked about the ball moving. The ball's always going to move a bit. And when Brad Rogers made his announcement, he said the ruling was reversed to incomplete because the ball moved. I promise you he's never going to say that again, by the way, because it's loss of possession that you're dealing with. So comes down to, a big play, and sometimes you got to make the tough decision. And it's close, but it is far more incomplete than it is complete.
Yeah, no question. And it is, I would agree that when you start getting into the laces moving, now we're getting very, very technical. And we always want to differentiate between movement and loss or lack of control. And I think that's the issue. And to me, it's incomplete because he loses control when the ball hits the ground. But it is a close play. And again, you want it to jump out when you overturn. But I felt like you, it's more incomplete. Certainly not a head scratcher. I thought the one in Buffalo, Vegas, the John Brown catch that was ruled short of the goal line, I thought that was a head scratcher. And why was that not overturned to a touchdown? What did you see on that one, Mike?
Well, I mean, the first time I looked at this, as you see here, Jordan here wants a ruling. I looked at the first time, I think it's touchdown. And I look at it again, even now, and I think it's a touchdown. You know, to me, what you had is he gets control. The ball is breaking the plane. He's in contact with the defender, and he's basically driven and goes back into the field of play. To me, when he gets control with both hands and he's got 2 feet down and a knee, to me, it is a catch and a touchdown because the ball has broken the plane. Now, the league felt that they couldn't get involved in this because the officials on the field ruled that there was no forward progress here, that the receiver, John Brown, went out of bounds short of the goal line on his own. But to me, forward progress and that forward most point of the ball is reviewable when it comes to the line to gain and also the goal line. And so I mean, I have this as touchdown all the way.
It is a touchdown. And I feel like, again, and this has been a recurring theme, we are getting very technical in replay. And when you look at this, and remember, you can award forward progress before the catch is completed. So he doesn't even have to have all the elements of a catch in order to get the forward progress point. He can complete the catch subsequently and still get the forward progress. We could put the player down before he completes the catch. You see those plays all the time with the receiver diving at the goal line, the knee touches, he then completes the catch, and we put him back short of the goal line. So to me, you know, we're getting very technical and asking the officials what they ruled. They ruled him short of the goal line. The spot is reviewable in relation to the goal line. If that was at the 50-yard line and it was a first down involved, where would we spot the football? We'd spot the football on the 50. He gets control. He's being pulled back into the field of play. As long as he maintains that control and there's continuous contact by the defender, that's progress in the end zone for a touchdown. That call absolutely should have been overturned to a touchdown. And again, you know, to get very technical to try to justify that decision is a problem that we're starting to see more and more. And I hope the league takes some steps to correct that.
Well, again, and you have an issue. I think you have an issue where if they say that if no forward progress was ever ruled, then you can't put forward progress on. But this is a touchdown. I mean, it is a touchdown. And like you, I think you have to make this call. And if some simple definition or guideline keeps you from making what clearly is, and admittedly, the league says it should be a touchdown, but they couldn't get involved because forward progress isn't real.
We're overthinking it. We're overthinking it.
Yeah, exactly. Some things
touchdown.
It's
a touchdown.
To a lot of people, by the way, when it comes to ejections, we've seen a lot. You know, Stephen Bondo, the biggest Buffalo Bills fan in the world, says there's been 6 ejections so far in the season. And there were a lot of people that didn't agree that Harrison Smith should have been ejected or even called for a foul, you know, for his hit on a defenseless player. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, it's certainly a foul, right? You have a receiver that's attempting to catch a pass. He's in a defenseless posture, and the rules prohibit the defender from initiating forcible contact to the head and neck area. We know you can't lower the head and initiate with the helmet to any type of player, to any part of the body, and it's clearly a foul. The receiver's defenseless, and Harrison makes contact, forcible contact to the head and neck area. Then you get into the ejection part of it. And look, this is kind of this new world that we're in. 15, 20 years ago, right? This might not have even been called on the field. Now it's being called consistently, and now we're almost moving to more of a targeting standard, the college targeting rule, where these types of hits on defenseless players, we've seen 2 in recent weeks that have ejected, right? Quandre Diggs and now Harrison Smith. that result in ejections. And I think this is the new world, and it's a safety issue. And I think it is the right call to eject the player. You want to protect not only the player getting hit, but the player initiating the contact, who also puts himself at risk. And it is a foul, and I think the ejection was warranted.
And the tweet talks about the fact that Jordan Akins is changing his body posture, that he's dropping his head. Well, he's vulnerable here. He's trying to protect himself. He's not one that's delivering a blow here. And so therefore he clearly falls into that definition of a defenseless player. So it is the right call. And I know Mike Zimmer was upset about this. I mean, really upset on the sideline.
Well, he's losing probably his best defensive player.
Sure. And I get it. And it's like, in one way though, you need to understand the process. I mean, this is looked at in real time by the officials. And if the officials see it in real time and say it's an ejection, then it automatically, as you say, it goes like almost like college targeting. I mean, actually, in a way it is, because it gets reviewed. It gets reviewed by New York. And so New York has the final say on whether or not it should be an ejection or not. But I know when I saw it, the very first time I said ejection. And then when I went on and, our crew wasn't so sold, our broadcast crew wasn't so sold on the ejection part, but I think they said afterwards, yeah, after thinking of it that way, they did. But you are right. This is the new world order, so to speak.
Yeah, and there was a tweet that referenced a hit from the Chargers-Chiefs game a couple of weeks ago, Perryman on Watkins. A little bit different in that Watkins wasn't a defenseless player, but I did feel that Perryman lowered his head and initiated with the helmet, which is a foul for use of the helmet, not flagged and surprisingly not fined after the fact. A little bit different in that it wasn't a defenseless player. But I understand that tweet and trying to compare those two plays, but obviously the league did not feel it warranted, a fine in that instance. But speaking of hits on defenseless players, some controversy in the when is there not controversy involving my Cowboys? When are we going to get? When is the league and the officials going to take the Cowboys fans' feelings into consideration? But there was a flag thrown, a hit on Joe Thomas. Talk us through this one, Mike, because it's a big play.
I'm wondering if, in fact, without any big crowds, and there's certainly people that were in Dallas, but to me, you hear so much more. And this, when you listen to it on television, sounded like a huge helmet-to-helmet hit. And it's almost like now you may react to it more because from the noise that you actually hear, it's just not a foul. It's just not a foul. I get it. Clearly, the receiver is defenseless, but he didn't get him in the head or neck area, didn't lower his head, so you can't have an illegal use of helmet call. So it's just one of those that is a reaction, just a reaction maybe to what you see in full time along with what you hear. But really led to another element of it, which I know that Kevin Burkhardt and Moose Johnson talked about was it actually a catch or was it an interception? When you look through it, I mean, I actually think it's an interception, Dean. Now, that's not going to make the hit go away. And by the way, the hit is not reviewable. So that's always going to stay. But, it is one of those we used to say back in my day, and kind of you changed it, err on the side of safety. And you were right to change it to say it either is or it isn't. But to me, this isn't a foul.
Yeah, I think if you look, it's the line of scrimmage official that throws it from his perspective. I can understand in the red flag that went through his mind because it was high, and but he's looking through the receiver's body, and you'd hope that the official would see the entire action. And look, it happens in real time. Can understand why the flag is thrown. It's not reviewable, like you said. And you think about, and you brought it up. Could Dallas have challenged it? And yeah, they could have, because it was ruled a catch, not an interception on the field. And if they looked at it and reversed it to an interception, then the penalty, instead of 15 yards being tacked on to the end of the play, it would have been enforced from the previous spot, which was about a 7-yard difference. So not that significant, but certainly something that could have been challenged. And I'm like you, I watched that and I I lean toward interception based on some previous examples. I don't know if they would have changed it, but it's a very interesting play, to kind of go through.
I had only games at 10 o'clock. And so my day was basically done at 1. And so I thought, well, what the heck, I'll leave early and go home and get a early start on this week. And so I didn't get to see much of the Rams Giants game. Matter of fact, it was just ending when I landed in Sacramento. And then I get home and I read about a skirmish. I see a thing that happens at the end of the game. And then I hear about a skirmish that happened during the game with Aaron Donald. I mean, who would try to take on Aaron Donald in a skirmish? I don't know, Nick Gates?
Nick Gates, the offensive lineman for the Giants, he and Donald, and obviously it was a very physical game throughout. There was just it was one of those games that felt like it was on edge throughout. And Gates and Donald got into it. It was it looked like 98% of the fights I got in with my brother. It was like pointing first and then the contact and then the kind of couple of smacks and then people came and broke it up. So both players were penalized, offsetting fouls, nothing that rose to the level of an ejection. But I know, a lot of people had fun on social media because Aaron Donald, probably the best defensive player in the game, and he's an absolute monster. And not many people that I would want to mess with, in this world. And Aaron Donald is one of them. And it was interesting because then you have that during the game, and then after the game, you had a dust up between Golden Tate and Jalen Ramsey with some history there. What if anything, Mike, can the league do about that?
Oh, I think the league could do plenty. I mean, people getting involved in the altercation. The fact that you have our whole issue with the pandemic and social distancing and trying to keep coaches with masks on, which don't seem to be working in Las Vegas. But the league certainly can get involved with fines for this. And we know that the league probably are finished by now, had a meeting with the clubs to reinforce their issues with the pandemic and to reinforce the notion that those that are by protocol need to wear their masks. And I'm sure that they could even be looking at things as suspensions that come up for multiple people that gets warnings and get warnings. You're talking about mostly coaches here, but I would not be surprised that through week 3 of the season, or week 4 now almost after tonight's games, and with what's happened in Tennessee, I'm telling you, the league is going to make a point of these types of situations that could help spread if anybody is actually infected with it. And I say they take some pretty active involvement of this with possible fines.
Oh, yeah, no question. I actually got a text from someone just before that was on that call, and the league is definitely reading the clubs, the Riot Act, stricter, enforcement. They're going to ask for, video camera footage, enhanced protocols, because like you said, what happened with Tennessee, and you have games postponed, games moved, Kansas City, New England moved to Monday night. This is serious. And then when you see, players or coaches or team personnel or officials or anyone not adhering to the protocols, that puts everyone else at risk. First and foremost, it puts the season at risk. And I think the league is aware of that, and they're gonna make sure that the clubs understand that. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are fines.
And it was really interesting, I thought, and it was brought to my attention today, but you saw Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth.
Wearing masks during the broadcast.
It was the local health people that said that they had to wear the mask. And then somebody brought to my attention, well, what about the officials? I mean, the officials were taking down their masks either to blow their whistles or the referee taking off their masks to make the announcements. Protocol, even from the officiating standpoint, might change depending on the local situation. It's everything we are doing now in this pandemic is fluid, and we just have to recognize that things are going to change week to week.
The nice thing about, if there's a silver lining to the pandemic is that, when we're in the studio, I don't like to be around you anyway, and now I have an excuse. So that's been positive.
Almost went the whole way without
Just,
trying to
just
cut
saying.
me. And, the thing is, I hope we don't. I wish we could separate our time where we get our makeup put on, because I am so tired of seeing poor little Roxy have to use the color on your beard
Yeah,
to make it a little darker.
Don't give away the tricks to the trade, okay?
Yeah.
Don't give those away. But since you bring that up, before we end the show, we do have one more picture that we'd like to share from the weekend. Here he is, Mike Pereira, in full three-piece suit with his credential, rushing through LAX to catch his flight back home to Sacramento. Mike, how did it go rushing from the studio to LAX to get home in your three-piece suit? How did that work out?
Well, first of all, I never knew that you would resort to fake news. I mean, that's unbelievable that you would actually post a picture and try to pretend that was me. I had a gray suit on with a red shirt yesterday, so this is absolutely fake. But yes, I did run out and try to get to the airplane by 2:30. I left the studios at 1:10 to LAX. I got there, and I was the best dressed person on Southwest Flight 2522 from LAX to Sacramento yesterday.
We got that picture from a fan, and they sent it to us, and they thought it was Barry from Storage Wars. So
there you go. Okay.
All right, that's the show. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. That's Mike, a more casually dressed Mike. I'm Dean. Check out Thursday Night Football this week on Fox.
Sunday on Fox.
Let's go! Let's go, let's go.
Be great today. Man, we gotta have some fun.
It's a full slate of NFL action.
What a play! Touchdown!
Featuring some of the game's biggest stars.
Murray fires. Touchdown!
Wentz airing it out. Juju Smith-Schuster. And a sack. Pereira and Donald. Kittle. Touchdown! Wow!
It all kicks off Sunday at 1 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.